All right, we are now on chapter 35 of Jemima Small versus the Universe. It is called The Box Jellyfish. The next morning, as everyone else was going back to school, I was traveling at approximately 100 miles an hour towards London, reading the World's Deadliest Animals book I'd borrowed from Jasper. It was hard to concentrate on facts about giant hornets, though, because it felt like I was hurtling towards something even more dangerous. Stop worrying. Dad peered at me over its art and design magazine. Everyone there will be nervous. I nodded and looked out of the window. Lottie probably wouldn't be nervous. I hoped I didn't have to sit next to her. I wouldn't be able to concentrate with her sneering at me. Jemima, ever since you started school, all I've heard from your teachers is how freakishly smart you are. Thanks, I said, rolling my eyes. What I mean is, brainiacs will be looking for someone exactly like you today. I looked at the outline of my reflection in the train window and tried my hardest, my absolute hardest, to believe him. My phone beeped. It was text from Miki telling me to slay it next to the Japanese character that means courage. I typed back, thanks. But I knew I couldn't slay over 250 people. I turned the page of my book and read, did you know an adult box jellyfish contains enough venom to kill over 60 humans? Too bad I wasn't a box jellyfish. We arrived at Paddington Station, where a huge clock told us that we were running late in Roman numerals. Dad hurried down the steps, dodging tourists wheeling suitcases, just in time to drag me onto a giant escalator heading underground to catch our next train. Phew, just made it, Dad announced to the entire carriage as the door slammed shut. She's got an audition. My skin stung with embarrassment. An old couple smiled warmly at me as I sat down near some empty seats, but two women sitting opposite looked at me and then smiled at each other. Maybe they couldn't figure out how audition and me went together. I closed my eyes and started silently counting the 78 times tables, trying to drown out the voice in my head telling me I shouldn't be here. That voice needed to shut up. I had maths to do. At the hotel, we followed the sign saying Brainiac's competition, Chaplain Suites. Look, there's Big Ben across the river, Dad said, pointing out of a huge window. I told him that technically it was the Elizabeth Tower because Big Ben is the bell inside. He told me to save the SWAT talk for the competition. The Chaplain Suites were 3 rectangular-shaped rooms joined together. Huge white wooden shutters had been pushed back on some sort of pulley system to create one enormous space. By the entrance, there were people milling about next to a table covered with name badges. I couldn't spot Lottie or Noah Chamberlain, but I noticed a parent giving me a second glance. I stayed in Dad's shadow as we walked over to a table. A woman wearing a yellow brainiac's long-sleeve t-shirt found my name badge and said, "Good luck, Jemima. May your brain be with you." She handed me a schedule and a list of rules, and then I had to stand in front of a huge yellow screen to get my photo taken. A few people nearby watched me while that was happening, which made it pretty hard to smile like a brainiac, like the photographer told me to do. The flash was still in my eyes as Dad headed to a sofa opposite the registration desk, where he read out the rules for the day. There were millions. Don't take off your badge. Don't talk about the games you've completed with other competitors. Don't take your phone into the competition room. The educator's decision was final. My brain ached and the competition hadn't even started yet. A klaxon sounded and people started filing into the room. Dad hugged me. "Good luck, sweetheart. Whatever happens, try to enjoy it." I nodded like that was even possible. As I handed him my phone, a text flashed up from Luna. "Channel your inner goddess." I looked down at my schedule. Unless my inner goddess had been revising logic and strategy games, Luna's advice was kind of useless. Inside the Chaplain Suites, a man was on a stage at the back. "Welcome, Brainiacs," he boomed into a microphone. Everyone clapped and cheered. There were 250 people there, but it felt like thousands. Some were wearing their school uniforms like me. Some were in jeans. A few were wearing business suits. I scanned the room for Lottie, but I couldn't see her anywhere. I felt instantly bad for accidentally wishing she'd get the norovirus last night. "I'm Damien Jones," the man on stage said. "I'm one of the producers of the show. Thank you all for coming here to compete for a place on Britain's toughest brain-busting competition, Brainiacs." Everyone cheered again. I could feel the sweat on my palms each time I clapped my hands together. As you can see, the room's been divided into 4 zones. Each of you will complete time tests in each zone, and our educators, they are the very friendly looking people in yellow tops, will record your scores. A sea of yellow arms went up as the educators waved. A boy standing near me waved back. Your families will be in the Garson suite upstairs while the competition is taking place. If you need them urgently for any reason, please tell any member of our crew. Now, competitors. The microphone squeaked. I'm sure I don't need to remind you what's at stake. The 15 of you with the highest overall scores will go through to appear on our TV show for a chance to win the amazing Brainiac's trophy and £5,000 for your school. It only happens once a year, people. Make some noise. Everyone cheered even louder. One of the educators drummed on a table and the boy near me wolf whistled. I hoped I wouldn't get tinnitus after this. You've read the rules, but here's the most important one, Damien said. Do your best. Good luck, and may your brains be with you. The klaxon sounded again, so I headed towards a sign saying Logic and Strategy Zone, and that's when I spotted Lottie. My stomach lurched. She was wearing her school uniform, but she looked different. She was wringing her hands and glancing around the room like she didn't know where to go. I walked over. Hey, Lottie, I said. Do you know which zone you're doing first? Her face changed, and she said, Yes, of course, Jemima. I've got the languages zone. I've got logic and strategy, I said, and she stared at me. I could tell she was nervous because the water in the bottle she was holding was sloshing around. Well, good luck. May your brain be with you, I said, and regretted it instantly. Like I need you to tell me that, she replied. Oh no, look, they got your name wrong. I automatically looked down at the badge on my label. It should say Jemima Big. She brushed past me and headed toward the world languages and spelling zone. I knew it was only Lottie, but it felt like someone had thrown a bowling ball at my stomach. I glanced around to see if anyone else had heard. I didn't feel upset, just stupid. And feeling stupid was not a good way to start Britain's toughest brain-busting competition. I watched the back of Lottie's head disappear into the crowd, and then I surveyed the room. 250 people. Each one of them competing for a place on the show. Some of them probably wondering why I would want one. I turned and looked back at the double doors I'd just come through. A man in a yellow t-shirt with a Bluetooth device in his ear was about to close them. There was still time to turn back. Or, I thought, turning around and lifting my head up, maybe it's time to channel my inner box jellyfish. That's the end.